How's it going, traders? Hopefully you guys enjoy this weekly Forex forecast, and make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Alright, starting things off with the US dollar COT report. The past week, the banks got rid of 2,300 longs, and they also got rid of 8,800 short positions. And remember, if you do want this COT report, the link in the description is to Patreon. You can get it there, so definitely check that out if you want the spreadsheet. And looking at the daily chart here of the US dollar, it's pretty clear that this uptrend is very strong right now. I think it's very possible that the US dollar does actually just end up pulling back to this demand. And I think if it does, I don't know if this demand zone will actually hold in the daily chart. I think it's possible it'll spike through and then go up. But also, if you look at the 4-hour chart over here, I think something is very significant is happening. If you look, we lost momentum on the 4-hour chart, and that's why in the daily chart you saw the big red candle. But clearly we've lost momentum, and we're actually reacting off of one of my supply zones right now. So I think we should be watching this 4-hour chart. If we continue to see downward pressure, it's most likely we're pulling back to that daily demand that I showed you guys earlier. But if we actually break through the supply and make a new high here, we will have that 4-hour uptrend, and then I think it's safe to say the US dollar will continue up. But until that happens, I don't really know what to do here on the dollar. I think it's just a waiting game right now to decide what direction it's going in. All right, EURUSD forecast. The past week, the institutions got rid of 23,000 long positions, and they added 33,000 short positions. So pretty significant. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but I just like to look at the charts and use the COT report for just a little extra. And if you look at the daily chart here, we clearly reacted off of this demand, and we're pushing up. But I think it's always important to get a bigger picture perspective. So if you look at the weekly chart here, we have that weekly downtrend. We reacted beautifully off of my weekly supply zone right here, and we're pushing down. So I do think looking for shorts is probably still the best thing to do on the euro. Obviously, the euro and the US dollar index, they go in the inverse of each other. So I think it's best to wait for that daily supply, like I said, in the US dollar to be removed before taking any trades along the dollar. So if you're looking to short euro, you're technically going long the dollar. So I think it's best to actually wait for this 4-hour downtrend to continue before looking to possibly get a short entry. Or if you're feeling a little more risky and you want to get involved now, which is completely fine, there's a nice 1-hour demand zone right here that I've had drawn right here, and we reacted nice off of it now right here. So if this demand zone gets removed, then I think if there's a 1-hour supply zone here, you can look to possibly get involved right there like that. But it might also be best to get this demand zone and this demand zone, more importantly, removed both before hopping in short. So a little risky trading the euro right now. I definitely would not be going in long based on this weekly downtrend, and shorts you might just have to wait a little bit longer for shorts and wait for the 4-hour and 1-hour downtrends to continue. All right, looking at gold, and quickly, I just want to show you guys and give a shout out to Raj, who took a nice trade off of one of my supply and demand zones here. So congrats to Raj, taking a nice confirmation trade here off of one of my zones. And remember, if you do want my zones, check out the YouTube or Patreon membership. Links are in the description. For only $5 CAD per month, you can get zones like this, and it can definitely help you in your trading. So I hope to see you guys join the team. And looking at the COT report for gold, the past week the institutions got rid of 3,700 longs, and they also added 16,000 short positions. But the charts are more important in my opinion, and we're still reacting off of daily demand, and we're pushing up. So gold, I think it's kind of a weird situation on gold. Technically, weekly demand is in control, so longs are probably more preferred right now. There was a little 4-hour trade here, but that wasn't a great looking zone. So gold right now, I actually would kind of stay away until we get a significant push up, because your confirmation on gold now, if you're looking to get in long, would be the removal of this supply zone. So, I mean, if this does happen, leaving us with 4-hour demand right here, that could be a nice little long entry on gold there. Other than that, I don't see too many opportunities in gold right now. I think it's actually best to wait for that 4-hour supply to be removed first. And like I said, shorts are a little risky based on, we're in daily demand and we just reacted off of weekly demand. So yes, it's very likely on the weekly chart we continue to push down on gold. It's not very likely, but it is possible. So I think right now it's best to actually just wait it out on gold. USDJPY forecast. The past week, the institutions got rid of 7,900 longs, and they added 13,975 short positions. I was talking about USDJPY for a long time. I've been constantly saying longs are the best thing to do. It looks like we couldn't pull back to this weekly area of demand here, but if you look on the daily chart, the weekly chart. The weekly chart is still looking extremely strong, so I would still be looking for longs on USD yen. There's a couple things here. We did lose momentum on the 4-hour chart with the removal of this demand and this demand, and we actually just removed these two little supply zones right here. So it's looking strong again on USDJPY. I think it's best to wait for this high to be removed first, which would leave us with that 4-hour uptrend. I think that's the highest odds thing to do, but also if you like to trade the 1-hour chart, there's a little 1-hour demand zone right here. Now, I do recommend looking for confirmation in this 1-hour demand zone on a 5-minute chart. So basically, you'd hop down to a 5-minute chart and then look for demand zones to be formed and then look to get in long on the lower time frames, just confirming that this demand zone is indeed going to work. If you don't know what confirmation is, check out my tips playlist, links in the description. I do have a few confirmation videos. So that's the more risky entry, but ultimately I think it's best to wait for that 4-hour uptrend to continue. But at the end of the day, USD yen is looking very strong, and the weekly and daily trend is still going strong. Remember, if you are enjoying this video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Would be much appreciated to help with the YouTube algorithm and get this forecast out to more traders. And if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Would be happy to see you guys here in the next forecast. So looking at the pound call reports here, the past week the banks got rid of 5,200 longs, and they also got rid of 10,489 short positions. If you look at the weekly chart, I'm starting on the weekly chart here to show you the overall perspective of the pound. It looks very weak on the long-term outlook on the weekly chart. If you come to a daily chart here, we had the continuation of this downward trend this week, and we actually got left with a daily supply zone right here. Now, I've talked about it in my past forecast where if price is coming up to a supply zone right at a downward trend line, I usually like to stay away from a zone like that, or at least look for very good confirmation. And so I think we could see a spike up and then a move down if we end up pulling back. But obviously, since the daily trend and weekly trend is down, we could see the pound continue to roll over. So let's go down to the lower time frames for now. If you look at the 4-hour chart, we've clearly lost momentum. Buyers kind of picked it up here, but I think it's more than likely we'll actually see a push down. So if we see a break of this 4-hour demand zone, leaving us with 4-hour supply, that would be a nice little 4-hour supply zone to possibly look for a confirmation in. So that's what I would be waiting for here on the pound. And as always, if you're looking for that more risky entry, there is a 1-hour supply zone right here, but I only recommend looking for 5-minute confirmation coming off of that supply zone. And let's say if that one doesn't work, you don't get the confirmation, but it keeps pushing down and we break this demand zone. If there's a 1-hour supply zone there, you can do the same thing in that 1-hour supply zone as well. So the pound's looking pretty decent here. Might just need to wait for a pullback or wait for some demand zones to be removed. USDCAD forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,000 longs and they also added 17,000 short positions. The daily chart does not look great on USDCAD. If you are in long, I would target right before this daily supply. But this daily chart is not looking great on USDCAD. It is strong overall. We are trending up, but we actually just reacted off of this weekly supply over here. So we could start to see the USDCAD fall down just a bit, just like we had right here when price reacted perfectly off my weekly supply and pushed down to my weekly demand. So I think we could definitely see some downward pressure here on USDCAD, but at the end of the day, if you just want to trade long with this weekly and daily uptrend, I think that's completely fine. There are a few little mini setups I see here. There's a 4-hour demand zone right here, and if price does come down in this demand zone, you could definitely look for a 15-minute confirmation long trade in this 4-hour demand zone. That's pretty much all I see right now, other than this 1-hour demand zone right here. So in this 1-hour demand zone, you could look for 5-minute confirmation coming off of that. But I think if we do pull back to here, I think it's likely we will pull back to that 4-hour demand zone where we'll probably get a better dip buying opportunity. So at the end of the day, I think it's best to wait for this 4-hour demand to be 4-hour demand to be hit and then look for a long trade. But like I said earlier, weekly supply is going to be in control, so risk should maybe be half risk if you're looking to get in long at this time. AUDUSD forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 60 long contracts and they also got rid of 4,700 short contracts. Starting off on the weekly chart here, just want to show the overall perspective. We have that weekly downtrend. We just removed this significant weekly demand. But if you look, we're at the low of price right now. So that's why we are seeing a move up. Buyers are picking it up, but the overall trend is down. Remember that. So looking at the daily chart here, as you can see more clearly, we are at the low. So that's why we're seeing this move up. But I think that weekly downtrend will continue and we will end up breaking this low. That is just my opinion. But if price does come up to this daily supply, you could look for a 1 hour confirmation coming off of that daily supply zone there. Or there are a few more riskier setups here. There is a 1 hour supply zone right here. You could possibly look for, a little 5-minute confirmation trade coming off of that 1 hour supply zone. Or if you look here on the 4 hour chart, there is, it's going to be about 20 minutes from now, but I'm going to draw it right now. There is going to be a 4 hour supply zone right here. So if you want to look for a 15-minute confirmation trade short on the 15-minute chart, if you're looking at day trade, that would be your 4 hour supply zone where you would start to look for possible short positions. And like I said, I don't really recommend getting in long. Yes, we just had a nice long up move, but if you look at the, the overall trend on the weekly chart here, most of the money was made to the downside here, right? Yes, there was some money to be made on the upside, but overall trading to the downside was a little more profitable and higher odds. So that's why I always like to trade with the overall trend, which is why I show you guys the weekly chart. USDCHF, the past week, the banks got rid of 7,600 long positions and they added 1,682 short positions. First, looking at the weekly chart here, just want to show you guys that weekly supply is in control, but it's a weekly uptrend. So this is why trading can be so confusing using multiple time frames, but it's also very important. So if you look here, we have a daily demand zone that we're actually sitting inside of right now. You could look for a 1 hour or 4 hour confirmation to the long side to hop in like that. That's one option. I just don't really like it for shorts. It's too obvious. We could range like this for a bit as well. Ultimately, I think looking for longs in this daily demand is probably the best thing to be doing right now. Even though weekly supply is in control, the thing is, weekly supply is in control, but we've actually reacted off of it once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times now. And not only that, we are in that weekly uptrend. So this one trading, like I said, can be very confusing. You just have to kind of go with the higher time frame trend, and that is up right now. So I think looking for potential longs on a 1 hour chart is fine. There is a 1 hour demand zone right here. But the problem with this demand zone is at the low. I'm just not a huge fan of it. So if you do want to get involved here, 5-minute confirmation would most likely be needed because it's very possible we wick right through like that and get a little liquidity hunt right here and then move up. So confirmation is certainly going to be needed here on USD Swiss, but I think longs are definitely the highest odds thing to be doing right now. All right, oil forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 14,455 long positions, and they also added 10,855 short positions. Now, I talked about this daily supply here, and all the forecasts all the way down here, I said you could be trading long up to this daily supply zone and definitely look to take profits. You can see my target here at about 120. So that is why we are pushing down here on oil. We reacted perfectly off of my daily supply zone. So remember, the weekly trend on oil is overall up, but we're just seeing a little down move here. So I think oil could continue to go up in the long run, but clearly we're seeing supply zones being respected. As you can see, one of my 4 hour supply zones here worked out very nice. Was probably a good 4-to-1, 5-to-1 trade. So I don't really know what to do here in oil, to be honest. You could technically be trading this 1 hour downtrend. You could start to look for 5-minute setups like this. And there's actually a little 1 hour supply zone here I did not recognize. So I'm going to draw that out right now for the members. So there's a little 1 hour supply zone right here, and we could see a reaction from it. We already did kind of see a small reaction. You could definitely look for a 5-minute confirmation trade to the short side. So I think it's one of those times where, yes, this overall weekly trend is up, but at the same time, as you can see here, we're seeing a move down. So any short positions should only be taken on like a 5-minute or a 15-minute chart at max. Because at any time this daily chart could start to turn around and then break that supply and move back up. And that's just the beautiful thing about multiple sequence analysis, and I should be making a video on that soon. If you guys are watching right now, let me know if you'd like to see a video on multiple sequence analysis. Hopefully you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If you did, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like and check out the Patreon or YouTube membership if you need help finding your supply and demand zones. It's only $5 CAD per month. Hope to see you guys there and hope to see you in the next video.